Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Apocryphal Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Friday, Apocryphal, and podcast. And boy, do we have a show for you today.
We nailed it.
We did. Today we are finishing the astronomical book, or also
the Book of the Luminaries.
Or the Book of the Luminaries, also known as. And there are some very interesting things in this book, I think.
Yeah. A lot of false things.
Well, yeah. They have more bastardizations of astronomy, but
yes.
there are some really cool, I don't know if I would call it a vision or if I would call it some sort of prophetic thing, but it's a lot like the whole Joseph Smith story, from Mormonism.
Ooh.
Like looking at some tablets.
Fun.
Not the same way, but very similar.
All right. That's cool. We're going to go over that.
Yeah, we are.
Well, in front of me, I have the Oxford Companion to the Bible.
And I think this is the first time we've opened it up in a long time.
This is the 7th or 11th use. We don't remember,
don't know.
but that's the number range now.
It's been quite some time.
Yeah.
But the Book of Enoch, or the books of Enoch, have an entry in here. And since I read the introduction on the last show to the book we're reading, I figured I'd read over the Oxford Companion to the Bible's entry. So, skipping over the first paragraph because that's just about Enoch himself.
Right.
And we already...
We know enough about Enoch already.
Yeah, we do.
What?
The Ethiopic Book of Enoch, or First Enoch, is a collection of mainly apocalyptic traditions, arranged as a Pentateuch. They include the following: the Watcher legend, the story of the fall of the angels, the parables, visions of the Son of Man / elect one, astronomica, the dream visions, a zoomorphic history, the epistle of Enoch, the apocalypse of weeks, and visions of judgment. An appendix includes the story of the miraculous birth of Noah. Substantial Greek portions of the book, amounting to about 1/3 of the closely related Ethiopic texts, have been known for many years. To them have now been added numerous fragments of an Aramaic Enoch among the Dead Sea Scrolls from Qumran, attesting the existence in the 2nd and 1st centuries BCE of each of the Enoch tractate collections, with the exception of the parables. Aramaic coverage of the Ethiopic has been estimated at no more than 5%, but there are substantial pieces in all 4 sections. There are also fragments on the giants, offsprings of the Watchers, the probable source of the Manichaean Book of the Giants. The view that this is the 2nd tractate collection ousted in the Common Era by the parables is hypothetical. The Aramaic fragments undoubtedly represent the original Enoch, while the Greek is a primary and the Ethiopic a secondary translation, always based on a Greek text. Thus, the text of 1 Enoch 1:9, quoted in Jude 14-15, is now extant in Aramaic, Greek, and Ethiopic.
And I think I covered that in my Forged Fiction video.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And after the show, if you're viewing this right now, you can go check that out too. The absence of the parables in the Enoch literature found at Qumran has been used to support the theory of their Christian composition, inspired by the Gospels. This argument from silence has not been deemed conclusive. There remains the insuperable difficulty that the Son of Man in the parables is identified not with Jesus but with Enoch, in a collection of tractates now generally dated to about the 1st century BCE or the 1st century CE. The Slavonic Enoch, or 2nd Enoch, is found only in Old Slavonic manuscripts, none earlier than the 14th century CE. These are books that we're not currently covering, but I'll go over them.
I don't know if we will
Yeah.
cover them. But,
Yeah. It is extant both in a longer and a shorter earlier recension. The tractate collection falls into 3 main sections. Enoch ascends through 7 heavens, each with its own special secrets, some purely natural phenomena, others eschatological, like paradise for the righteous in the third heaven, and others astronomical.
You guys remember that show, Seventh Heaven?
Yeah. In the second part, Enoch is confronted by the Lord himself in the seventh heaven and is shown the secrets of creation and human history down to his own time. Finally, Enoch returns to earth to brief his posterity before ascending again to the heavenly world. An appendix lists Enoch's priestly successors, Methuselah, Ner, the younger brother of Noah, and the miraculously born Melchizedek. The book has clearly been profoundly influenced by First Enoch, and it is widely accepted that it depends on a Greek Enoch, where Hebrew or Aramaic could lie behind the Greek. Other explanations of Semitisms, however, are also possible. The date of the work is uncertain, with the proposals ranging from the first century CE to the prevailing, which is the prevailing view, or even earlier down to the Middle Ages. The Hebrew Enoch, or Third Enoch, is a heterogeneous collection of Kabbalistic materials attributed to Rabbi Ishmael, 2nd century CE. Like Enoch and Second Enoch, Ishmael ascends to the seventh heaven, where he is admitted by the archangel Metatron, who informs Ishmael that he, Metatron, is really Enoch, son of Jared, translated to heaven to become a vice-regent of deity, the lesser Yahweh. The rest of the book is a miscellany of the mysteries of the heavenly world. The author is familiar with First and Second Enoch, but the date of composition is uncertain. Recent research suggests the 5th century CE to the 6th century CE. The main theological contribution of the book is its identification of Enoch with the Kabbalistic Metatron. That entry was by Matthew Black. So you can go ahead and put this Oxford Companion to the Bible back
where it belongs.
Not using it for a while.
Yeah. All right. So there's quite a lot we can go over today. How about we tell the people what books we're actually using?
Yes, I am using the Hermenia translation of First Enoch by George W. E. Nicholsberg and James C. Vanderkam.
I am using the exact same translation, except the commentary version.
Yes.
Also by Nicholsberg and Vanderkam.
We also have Eerdman's commentary on the Bible.
Yes, and those are going to be the only books that we're using today. And if you remember, there are just two things I want to say before we hop right into the reading.
Okay.
The first thing being that until the end of the month, 10% off on everything in our Teespring store if you use the promo code LOOK.
In all caps.
Yes, look 10% off everything.
There you go. It is the lesser behold.
Yes.
Behold was 20% off, but that's now
gone now. Sorry,
Yep.
It's over. You missed
So
it.
we're using look.
Yeah. And then we are still doing our donation drive, our 666 donation drive.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
And once we hit $666,
Alchemy.
alchemy.
We're going to be trying alchemy.
Yep. But we're not doing announcements on this show. We do that on the Sunday
I know,
show.
but that was just some quick stuff.
That's some quick stuff
Okay.
for your viewing pleasure.
Yeah.
Anyways, why don't I get into this, the second half of the Book of the Luminaries / astronomical book. All right.
Well, since we're reading, the translation from the Aramaic and the Hebrew, and I think they're using some manuscripts from the Ethiopic to help them, but since it's based primarily off of those older ones, we can call it the astronomical book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can call the Ethiopic one the Book of the Luminaries. It's very different.
Okay. This is chapter 76, the 12 winds and their gates. At the boundaries of the earth I saw 12 gates open for all the winds, from which the winds emerge and blow on the earth. 3 of them are open in front of the sky, 3 on the west, 3 on the right of the sky, 3 on the left. The first 3 are toward the east, 3 toward the north. The 3 after these...
So there's actually something interesting here. In the case of the word left in 76.3, 4Q 2:10 confirms the text, and the same copy attests the first two directions in verses 5 through 13, which we'll get to.
Yeah, there are missing bits here, but it does quote 4Q210 in here.
Sure.
Is it in there too?
It may be in this other part for which that was verse 3?
This was for verse 3.
Yes, it does quote it.
Okay. So after these on the left are toward the south and 3 on the west. So this Aramaic, not Aramaic, but Qumran. Why don't you go over it? Tell
okay.
our audience.
Yes, I'm actually going to talk about this one here. So I was talking about, it attests the first two directions in verses 5 through 13, while for 1st Enoch 34 through 36, 4Q204 supports the reading south at 36:1. The order in chapters 35 through 36 is counterclockwise. They're talking about the directions and comparing them. Because the whole section is the order of the directions in chapters 34 through 36 and chapter 76, because they are quite different.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why they're talking about chapters 34 through 36. While no such pattern is evident in the other lists. In 76:2, there are paired directions. The face is east and west, and then there's right and left.
Mm-hmm. Through 4 of them emerge winds of blessing and peace. But from those other 8, winds of punishment emerge. When they are sent, they bring devastation to the entire earth and the water on it, all that live on it, and all that are in the water and on the land.
Yeah, so here was actually something interesting from Erdman's. So chapter 76 details the 12 gates encircling the horizon through which the winds blow. Winds coming from the cardinal points of the compass are beneficial, but those coming through the remaining 8 toward the corners bring devastation, locusts, and foul weather. Again, the picture is so artificial and schematic that the author of the astronomical book cannot possibly be representing this as an accurate meteorology. Readers may be intended to search for eschatological or allegorical significance, as perhaps did the author of Revelation, who speaks of, quote, angels at the 4 corners of the earth holding back the 4 winds of the earth so that no one could blow on earth or sea. So that no wind could blow on earth or sea. Angels who had been given power to damage earth and sea. That's Revelation 7, 1 through 2.
Mm-hmm. So
there's that influence there, yeah.
Yes. Anyways, so there are these bad winds coming through these gates.
Yeah.
The first wind, whose name is Eastern, emerges from those gates through the first gate, which is on the east, and inclines toward the south. From it there emerge devastation, drought, heat, and destruction. Through the second gate, the middle one, there emerge in a direct way, as some manuscripts add, and there emerge rain, fruitfulness, prosperity, and dew. Through the third gate, which is to the north, emerge cold and drought. Following these, the winds toward the south emerge through 3 gates. First, through the first gate that inclines toward the east, a hot wind emerges. Through the middle gate, next to it, there emerge a fragrant aroma, dew, rain, prosperity, and life. Through the third gate that is toward the west, there emerge dew, rain, locusts, and destruction. Following these, the winds that are toward the north, whose name is sea, and which emerge from, many manuscripts add 3, the 7th gate that is toward the southeast. There emerge from it dew, rain, locust, destruction. From the middle gate, in a direct way, there emerge life, rain, dew. Through the third gate, that is toward the west, inclining to the north, there emerge mist, hail, snow, rain, dew, and locust.
A lot of rain and dew.
Yeah.
A lot of locusts.
Also, yes.
Following these, there are 4 winds. The number appears wrong, though it is attested in all Ethiopic manuscripts. 3 winds are enumerated for each quarter, not 4.
It would make sense for it to be 3, yeah.
Yes. 4 winds which are toward the west. As for the first gate towards the north, from it emerge dew, hail, cold, snow, frost. For dew... Oh, no. It sometimes adds and rain.
Okay.
This next verse has a little more commentary in the footnote on the bottom, but I'll get to it at the end of the verse. From the middle gate there emerge dew, rain, prosperity, and blessing. From the last gate that is toward the south emerge drought, destruction, burning, and devastation. So with that verse, 2 Aramaic copies, 4Q209, fragment 23, 1 through 2, and 4Q210, 1 to 14. Should I be reading that double I is 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Includes some words from 76:13 through 14. Combining the 2 copies, one can read, and 76:13 and devastation, 76:14. The 12 gates of the 4 quarters of the sky are completed, which we'll get into shortly. So apparently this borrows from the Qumran text.
Well, yeah. So on that, let's see. I just had something. Okay. So these verses detail the 12 gates and specify the winds that issue forth from each one. For the most part, the text offers the types of weather phenomena that verse 4 leads the reader to expect. There are, however, a few instances in which the pattern breaks down. One major problem area in the list is the final gate of the southern quadrant and the first of the northern quadrant. The 2 problematic lines share the same types of winds: dew, rain, locust, destruction, one of which could have been copied from the other. The unexpected dew and rain could have crept into these lines from the one immediately before south or after north. Other difficulties are that dew and rain, which are understandable as favorable weather phenomena and are associated with the gates at the cardinal directions, also appear in the gates whose weather traits are harmful. The third gate on the south, the first one on the north, the third one on the north, it also has mist, and just dew in the first on the west. Perhaps some confusion entered the textual tradition and marred the patterns that, according to verse 4, should prevail, although it does not deny that good winds can come through the 8 gates, which is it's kind of weird how it's all mixed.
Yes.
Except for the locusts. They didn't screw up the locusts.
Well, yeah, those are always bad.
So I'll read this last verse, and then there's 2 little notes here. The 12 gates of the 4 quarters, the Ethiopic manuscripts read gates, but Aramaic has quarters. The 12 gates of the 4 quarters of the sky are completed, all their laws and all their punishment and their prosperity. I have shown to you everything, my son Methuselah. But in the Qumran, in the Aramaic copies, it says, the 12 gates of the 4 quarters of the sky are completed. Their prosperity and their interpretation I have shown to you everything, my son Methuselah. But that part was fragmented off. It ends with I have.
Yeah, so the last words of verse 14 finally disclose to the reader who the speaker is and the situation in which he is making a report. I have shown to you everything, my son Methuselah. Genesis 5:21 says that Enoch was the father of Methuselah, and we can check that among other things in the astronomical book.
Yeah.
As there have been has been no indication of a change in speaker to this point. The implication is that the revelations of the Book of the Luminaries are the disclosures that Enoch made to his eldest son, ones that he had first learned from Uriel and now is transmitting to posterity. 4Q209, fragment 23, preserves, as Millich has read the letters at the end of the fragment, the first two consonants of the verb I have shown. The role of chapter 76 and verse 14 in particular was discussed. Oh, okay. So they have they reference the introduction. Can't talk right now.
Wow. Good job.
Thanks. All right, we can hop into the next chapter then.
Yep. We can. And do you want to read it or?
Yeah, I can read it.
Okay.
I got some stuff here. The first quarter is called Eastern, and this is 77, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. The first quarter is called Eastern because it is the first, and the second is called South because there the Most High will descend, and especially there the one who is blessed forever will descend. So that's a very interesting verse there.
Yes. It's called South because the Most High will
descend from there. So while the sentence about the first quadrant agrees in the two versions and on the basis of subsequent lines in the Qumran copies, one can restore all of it with a degree of certainty. Any strict overlap and any confidence in restoration vanish when dealing with the second quarter, the South. The Ethiopic version offers what appears to be two explanations or an explanation with two parts. The second is called South because there the Most High will descend, and especially there the one who is blessed forever will descend. The Aramaic text is preserved for most of the section. The South is called South because there the Great One lives, and in it's a fragmentary, so in blank forever. So the Aramaic also appears to offer a two-part explanation for the South, but relates the word to the verb dwell in the initial attempt at interpreting the name for these. They go into the second part there.
Yeah, I have the Qumran quotes in here too.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good.
Yep.
All right, but let's continue.
Yep.
The name of the quarter on the west is diminished because there all the heavenly luminaries diminish and go down.
In the Qumran, it says the great quarter is called the western quarter because they're blank. The heavenly stars presumably come, and hundreds vessels set and hundreds vessels enter, and all of them are stars. For this reason, it is called the West.
So apparently here, according to Erdmans, we learn about the four quarters of the earth through Hebrew or Aramaic puns on the names of the four directions, which they do. They do kind of note that, the West is diminished. It's like its name.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth quarter, whose name is North, is divided into three parts. One of them is the place where people live. The second is for the seas, the deep forests, rivers, darkness, and mist. And the other part is for the garden of righteousness. I saw 7 lofty mountains.
Hold on. The Qumran, verse 3, is so different. It's they editorially introduced the North is called North. That's the end of the editorial introduction. Because in it, all the entities that set, hide, gather, and go around, they go to the east side of the sky, east, because from there the vessels of the sky rise, and also orient, because people from there, hundreds rise, blank, the earth. One of them serves as a place where people live, and one of them, blank, for deserts, and for the garden of righteousness, blank.
Anyway, so the garden of righteousness. I saw 7 lofty mountains, which are higher than all the mountains on the earth. From them snow emerges, and days, seasons, and years pass by. I saw 7 rivers on the earth, larger than all the rivers. One of them comes from the west and pours its water into the great sea. 2 of them come from the north to the sea and pour their water into the Erythraean, I think that's how you say it, Erythraean Sea on the east. The remaining 4 emerge on the northern side toward the sea. 2 into the Erythraean Sea and 2 into the Great Sea, where they empty themselves. But some say into the wilderness. I saw 7 large islands in the sea and on the land, 5 on the land and 2 in the Erythraean Sea.
So some manuscripts have Great Sea, and there are also variations in numbers between manuscripts of like islands and stuff.
Yeah, so the final 5 verses of chapter 77 provide an inventory of prominent entities, 7 in each case, that are apparently to be found throughout the earth. The Aramaic copies are not very helpful. Only a few letters survive on 4Q209, and virtually none on 4Q210. The fact that the word for snow is still legible on 4Q209 and that 77.4 refers to snow furnish a small amount of evidence. Refers to snow furnish a small amount of evidence that the 2 versions may have continued in a related way. Here, Enoch resumes his first-person report about what he had seen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that they talk about snow here,
Right.
but when we were talking about the seasons, there was really no reference to winter. I guess there should have been,
Right.
but there wasn't.
Right. So why don't I read chapter 78? The names of the sun are as follows. The first are Yarez, and the second Thomas. The moon has 4 names. Its first name is Asanya, the second Abla, the third Banasse, and the fourth Era. These are the 2 great luminaries. Their roundness is like the roundness of the sky, and the size of the 2 of them is the same. In the disk of the sun, there are 7 parts of light added to it beyond what the moon has. A specific amount is placed in the moon until the 7th part of the sun passes over. They set and enter the gates of the west and go around the north and emerge through the gates of the east on the firmament.
So here's something on the names that you cited.
Yes.
The writer next advances 4 names for the moon. Wait, have you gotten to the moon ones yet?
Yeah, it was in like the first verse.
Oh, that was the first. I thought that was the sun.
That was the second verse then.
Okay, fine. Okay. The writer next advances 4 names for the moon. The first, for which the best reading appears to be Asanya, was explained by Dillman, who considers the list of lunar names more corrupt than the solar ones, as a reflection of there is some Hebrew word here. I don't know it, but it appears in Judges 8:21, 26, and Isaiah 13:8. Word for the moon or crescent. The prefixed syllable, I guess, reproduced the definite article either in Greek or Hebrew. This time, Halevi, another scholar, had a different etymology. He proposed that the underlying Hebrew, I wish I could read Hebrew.
You should learn.
I should learn. In fact, this is not good. This is going to be horrible if I can't read Hebrew, so I'm not even going to do it.
Let me see.
All right, it's right there. There's quite a bit of Hebrew, right in the middle of that. See, I'm gonna be learning Hebrew. I know how to read Greek, so I can get through that.
I think it's like Ashunya. It says the first word Ashun is a diminutive of Ash, and the second form of the divine name here serving to intensify.
Gotcha. See, now this all makes way better sense. I can't just like leave it blank. He believed the name a very small man referred to the first period of the moon's waning, when it has the shape of human form. See verse 17, which mentions the time when the moon looks like a man. So is that like, do you think they're talking about
The man in the moon?
the man in the
The
moon?
man in the moon. Yeah.
His theory is repeated in most of the commentaries, although Ulig preferred to relate the name to the Akkadian word sin, sen, or moon. None of these suggestions accounts very well for the letters in the word. Leslau, who cites Halevi's way of explaining the name, refers to the word asbanya, moon. It's quite a lot of this.
Yeah. Well, why don't I continue?
Sure.
When the moon rises, it is visible in the sky with 1/2 of a 7th part of all its light.
We're back to the 7th parts now.
Yep. On the 14th, it completes its light. 15 parts of light are placed in it until its light is completed in 15 days for the sign of the year. It is in 15 parts while the moon grows by units of 1/2 of a 7th part. When it is waning, on the first day it decreases to 14 parts of its light, and on the next day it decreases to 13 parts of its light. On the third, it decreases to 12. On the fourth, to 11. On the fifth, it decreases to 10. On the sixth, it decreases to 9 parts. On the seventh, it decreases to 8 parts. On the eighth, it decreases to 7. On the ninth, it decreases to 6. On the 10th, it decreases to 5. On the 11th, it decreases to 4. On the 12th, it decreases to 3. On the 13th, it decreases to 2.
Yeah, it's a
Some
day-by-day
manuscript,
account.
Instead of 2, some manuscripts read 1/2. On the 14th, it decreases to 1/2 of a 7th part of all its light. And on the 15th day, the entire remainder is exhausted. During certain months, the moon has 29 and sometimes 28 days. Uriel showed me another law regarding when the light is placed in the moon and from where it is placed in the moon from the sun. Some manuscripts read from the east. The entire time the moon progresses, it adds its light when facing the sun until 14 days in its light is complete. When it is all aflame, its light is complete in the sky. On the first day, it is called the new moon because on that day the light arises on it. It is complete precisely on the day the sun sets in the west and it rises from the east during the night, and the moon shines during the entire night until the sun rises opposite it and the moon is seen. Some manuscripts read is equal, opposite of the sun. From the place where the light comes to the moon, from there again it decreases until all the light is exhausted. A lunar day passes and its disk remains empty without light. It fashions 3 months of 30 days in its times. When it effects its decrease, it fashions 3 months of 29 days each, during which it brings about its decrease in the first time period and in the first gate in 177 days. When it goes out, it appears for 3 months, each with 30 days, and 3 months it appears, each with 29 days. At night, it appears every 20 days like a man, and at daytime like the sky, because there is nothing else in it except its light.
You know, it's kind of interesting because if you remember earlier, they were kind of polemicizing lunar calendars.
Yes.
But now, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Hey, if you're enjoying the stream so far,
Drop
why
a
don't
like.
you drop a like, share it around. Get all your friends and family and neighbors in here.
All of them, yeah.
I'll let you read chapter 79.
Okay, sure, I can do that.
It's titled A Summary.
Yeah, it is in fact a summary.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, I know, it's really incredible. Now, my son, I have shown you everything, and the law of all the stars of the sky is completed. He showed me all their law for each day, each time, in a jurisdiction, every year, its emergence, the command, every month and every week, the decrement of the moon, which is accomplished in the sixth gate, because in this sixth gate its light is completed, and from it comes the beginning of the decrement, which is accomplished in the first gate at its time until 177 days are completed. By the law of the week 25 and 2 days, it falls behind the sun. And it falls behind the sun, okay. And in relation to the law of the stars, 5 days exactly in one period, and when this place which you see is completed. This is the appearance and the likeness of each luminary that Uriel, the great angel, who is the leader, showed me.
So he's telling this to Methuselah.
Yeah.
That's the end of chapter 79.
That's the end of chapter 79.
Woo!
Yeah. That was just, in fact, a summary.
Yep. It was just a summary. All right, why don't I take chapter 80, Uriel's
That's not
summary
fair at all.
and prediction of a human sin and its consequences.
Yeah, there's actually
Errors.
what?
That's aired. It was 10. The
What are you-
number?
Okay, yeah,
watching,
relax.
I don't
We
care.
see it. That's fine.
Yeah, we see it.
Okay. So there's actually quite a bit about this. Yeah, for the inclusion of chapter 80, and I actually do have that noted.
Okay.
The Aramaic evidence reveals that at least some parts of the Ethiopic booklet are condensed fragmentary versions of longer sections, for example, the synchronistic calendar.
Mhm.
One should expect, therefore, that the Book of the Luminaries would have a somewhat disjointed appearance. If its sections are condensed versions of longer originals, this does not entail that they stem from disparate sources and do not belong to the original. It simply means that the full original text is no longer present in the Book of the Luminaries. Yet, even with this proviso, I don't know, the booklet does raise daunting problems for the scholar who deems it a unity. A serious one, noted several times above, is what appears to be a contradiction between 72.1 and 82 through 8. In 72.1, the superscript informs the reader the entire book about them, as it is he showed me, and how every year of the world will be forever, until a new creation, lasting forever, is made. The astronomical laws revealed to Enoch are to last as long as creation does. There is no provision for any change at, say, the last stages of history. It is difficult to read 72.1 in any other way, as the commentators agree. In contrast, 82 through 8 contains lines such as these. In the days of the sinners, the rainy seasons will grow shorter. Their seed will become late on their land and in their fields. Everything on the earth will change. And there are a couple other ones that they cite. And then it kind of, we also have to talk about 81 as well, because it's kind of like part of it, and even in part 82. So the sudden unprepared introduction of the seven holy ones into chapter 81 relates to the larger problem of the function that the segment 81 through 82 serves in First Enoch, or an earlier version of it. Charles had proposed that chapter 81 may be from the hand of the editor of the entire book of First Enoch. Rao rejected this view. Nickelsburg, however, one of the authors here, however, has returned to something analogous to Charles' position. On his view, 81 1 through 82 is redactional. It does not fit in the Book of the Luminaries, but forms a bridge between the Book of the Watchers and the Epistle of Enoch. In fact, he regards 81, 1 through 3 as a remnant of the seventh vision, with Remiel as guide. The first, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. The first 6 are in the Book of the Watchers. The conjoining of 3 Enochic booklets may be documented already in 4Q Enoch C. Fragments with text from the Book of the Watchers, the Book of Dreams, and the Epistle of Enoch have been identified as belonging to this manuscript. That was it.
Right on.
Yeah. Just some stuff about the unity. It doesn't, Nicholsburg says it not only does 81, 1 through 82, 4 look like a first part of the narrative in chapter 91, it is linked with the epistle, and it provides a link between the epistle and the Book of the Watchers.
All right. Well,
just talking about unity in general.
Yeah. Here's Uriel's summary and predictions of human sin and its consequences. Chapter 80. At that time, Uriel the angel responded to me, I have now shown you everything, Enoch, and I have revealed everything to you so that you may see this sun and this moon and those who lead the stars of the sky and all those who turn them, their work, their times, and their emergences. In the days of the sinners, the rainy seasons will grow shorter. Their seed will become late on their land and in their fields. Everything on the earth will change and will not appear at their times. The rain will be withheld and the sky will stand still.
Yes, there's a cool little thing on this. So verse 2 concludes with the two clauses that highlight what the problem will be. The rain will be withheld and the sky will stand still. The first statement reverses the scriptural promise that God would send the rains in their season to those who obey him. That was in Leviticus and Deuteronomy. When circumstances called for punishment, the deity would block the rains. As Jeremiah proclaims, therefore the showers have been withheld and the spring rain has not come. Or the Lord says through Amos, and I also withheld the rain from you when there were still 3 months to harvest. Coupled with this ruinous threat of drought is the prediction that the sky will stand still. The line seems to be saying in different words what was said in the previous clause. The heavens will allow no rain to pass through them. The idea may have been suggested by parallel passages from Leviticus and Deuteronomy.
Well, it's like what happened when the Jews were going into Israel, right? The sun stopped.
No, that was a part of a war.
Yeah.
And that was like just so was it Joshua? Yeah, it was Joshua. It was just so like he could have more time in the day to kill people, I guess.
Yeah. But similar phenomena, the sky stands still, right? At those times, the fruit of the earth will be late and will not grow at its normal time, and the fruit of the trees will be withheld at its normal time. The moon will change its order. Some manuscripts read law, and will not appear at its normal time. At that time, it will appear in the sky. Some manuscripts read the sky will appear, and will arrive at, there's dots, the manuscripts read faminal drought here.
Yeah, so there is something here that, he talks about the problem of this section. So first, Enoch 85 has proved to be a problem in the history of scholarship on the Book of the Luminaries. Sandwiched between verse 4, which deals with the moon, and verse 6, which speaks about the stars, one would expect verse 5 to concern the sun. It is mentioned with the other luminaries in verse 1. Yet the received forms of the text proceed as if the moon or sky is the subject of verse 5. The oldest manuscripts read Basame, yielding a text that says it, i.e. the moon, will appear in the sky. The other manuscripts lack the preposition ba, so their text says the sky will appear. The latter reading seems unlikely to be correct.
The sky has appeared.
The sky, it has finally appeared, everybody. Welcome to the age of the sky. The latter reading seems unlikely to be correct because the sequel speaks of reaching or arriving at a certain point and shining more brightly than usual. And also, when the sky appears is just a weird thing.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
No, I don't think you even need to go to the next verse to see why that would be ridiculous.
Right.
Both expressions would be more appropriate for the moon than the sky. Dillman, whose manuscripts had the reading sky as the subject of the verb, translated, and in those days one will look at the sky as a great unfruitfulness comes, adding in a footnote that the literal rendering was the sky will be seen and a great unfruitfulness comes. So they go over like a couple hypotheses for like the next couple pages.
Yeah.
And then they go on to say the textual evidence is frustrating. None of the Ethiopic copies supports a change in or relocation of words in verse 5, and there is no Aramaic evidence for chapter 80. Halevi offered his emendations on the assumption that Hebrew was the original language, a view now known to be false, at least for those parts of the Book of the Luminaries that correspond with the Cave 4 fragments from Qumran. That fact does not, however, exclude the possibility that the word sky is a mistake for sun, as the confusion would be as likely in Aramaic as in Hebrew, both of which use the same words for sky and sun. And it looks here that they're pretty similar sounding words.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and they are both well attested in Aramaic fragments. So they go on to say that though a drought or famine seems to make a little sense in the verse, the Book of Luminaries does make reference to such occurrences when speaking about the 12 gates from which the winds blow. They are a regular part of the created order, according to chapter 76. In 85, in contrast, a famine is predicted as a punishment. So there's that.
Yes. Okay, so
just a lot of weird textual stuff is happening there.
yeah. So at that time it will appear in the sky and will arrive at a faminal drought at the edge of the great chariot in the west, and it will shine very much more brightly than its normal light.
Yes, I also did want to talk about the chariot a little bit because if you remember, last episode
The sun rides in a chariot.
Yes.
Yes.
So the Great Chariot calls to mind the vehicles that play a role in Enochic astronomy. In 72.5, the sun travels in a chariot, while 73.2 says the moon does as well. Such conveyances reappear in chapter 75, where serving entities move about in them, as do the sun and apparently the stars. But none of them is described as the one in 85. Second here. Yeah, but none of them is described as the one in 85 is... Okay, yeah. Yeah, but none of them is described as the one in 85 is. Possibly 75.9.
Gotcha.
I know. I had to say it the exact right way because I had to look further into the sentence to see if it continued.
You can do it.
Thanks. Possibly 75.9 speaks of a large chariot, though it may refer to a star. The other chariots in the Book of the Luminaries are not confined to one direction, whereas this one is in the west. 2 Kings 23:11 says that King Josiah burned the chariots of the sun, a feature that is understood to be an influence from Assyrian religion, which would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
The chariot in 85 seems, however, to be permanently located in the sky and to the west, and is thus not like the one in these other references. Olson has observed that the Great Chariot was an ancient name for Ursa Major. That is, this constellation is named Wagon in ancient sources, such as Mul Apin, which we talked about.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. Calling the constellation Wagon would be a precise parallel, but in the sources, the wagon is associated with the north, not the west.
Mm-hmm. Weird.
Yeah.
Many heads of the stars will stray from the command. Some manuscripts read stars of the command. And will change their ways and actions and will not appear at the times prescribed for them. The entire law of the stars will be closed to the sinners, and the thoughts of those on the earth will err regarding them. They will turn back from all their ways, will err, and will take them to be gods. Evil will multiply against them, and punishment will come upon them to destroy all.
Oh boy, scary stuff
The
happening.
end of chapter 80.
Some scary stuff happening there.
Yeah, spooky.
Does it have to do with the planets?
It's to do with all the stuff.
Yeah, all of the heavenly bodies.
Yeah.
All the stars and shit.
Well, we can continue.
They're just going to start moving randomly. They wanna-
I think
It's
that
all
has to
going
do-
into retrograde.
Oh, okay.
Mercury's in retrograde.
Oh yeah, man, it's crazy. Such horrible stuff happening.
Yeah. So, do you want to read chapter 81 or should I do that and you can take 82?
Well,
82 is really long.
is it really long?
Oh, it's kind of long. It's like twice as long as...
There's quite a bit of commentary too
Yeah.
on 81.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll read this one. It's okay.
Okay.
I gotcha.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said to me, Enoch, look at these heavenly tablets.
This is presumably Uriel still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Read what is written on them and understand each and every item. I looked at everything on the heavenly tablets, read everything that was written, and understood everything. I read the book, all the actions of the people and of all humans who will be on the earth for the generations of the world.
So some manuscripts referred to it as the books of the heavenly tablets.
Books, okay, which would, I mean,
And
sure, that would make sense.
instead of I read the book, all the actions of people and of all humans, some manuscripts say the book and everything written in it, all so on and so on. So
Yeah, and remember the placing of this this section to come is kind of weird.
yeah,
From that time forward, I blessed the great Lord, the King of glory forever, as he made every work of the world. I praised the Lord because of his patience. I blessed him on account of humanity. Afterwards I said, blessed is the one who dies righteous and good. Regarding him, no book of wickedness has been written, and no day of judgment will be found. Those 7 holy ones brought me and set me on the earth in front of the gate to my house. They said to me, tell everything to your son Methuselah, and show all your children that no human is righteous before the Lord, for he created them. We will leave you with your son for 1 year until you receive another order to teach your children and write for them.
yeah. Some of the manuscripts say sons or children instead of son. Or
Okay,
when
so
they're
then
talking
it would just
yeah.
be redundant.
Yeah.
If that was the case, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, to teach your children and write for them, and you will testify to all your children. In the 2nd year, they will take you from them. May your heart be strong, because the good will inform the good of righteousness. The righteous will rejoice with the righteous, and they will greet each other. But the sinner will die with the sinner, and the apostate will drown with the apostate. Are we going to drown
obviously
with each other?
That's just, what else could we do?
Yeah. Those,
Well, I think they're referencing the flood, right?
possibly, there's a good chance there. Yeah.
Because like Uriel's basically like, tell your son, here's a book that says everything that's gonna happen.
Sure. Yeah.
So like it's
That
a
would make
heavily
sense.
deterministic thing. Like here we're delivering information about the future to you.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And all the sinners are gonna drown.
Yeah. Those who do what is right will die because of the hold on. Those who do what is right will die because of the actions of people and will be gathered up because of the deeds of the wicked. At the time they finished speaking with me, and I went to my people, blessing the Lord of the world.
Some manuscripts read of the ages instead of the world.
I mean, that would also make sense in context there.
All right. Well, chapter 82 is longer. So, unless you have something to say about chapter 81.
I do not. I mean, we
Revelations.
kind of went over it already.
Yeah. Enoch's instruction to Methuselah, chapter 82. Now, my son Methuselah, I am telling you all these things, and am writing them down. Some manuscripts say for you. I have revealed all of them to you, and have given you the books about these things. My son, some manuscripts add Methuselah, keep the book written by, some manuscripts say, or no, it's literally from the hands of your father, so that you may give it to the generations, some manuscripts read the children, of the world. Wisdom I have given to you and to your children. A few manuscripts read your son. And to those who will be your children, so that they may give this wisdom which is beyond their thought to their children for the generations. Those who understand will not sleep, and will listen with their ear to learn this wisdom. It will be more pleasing to them than fine food to those who eat. So that's our viewers. Right? Tell us if this is more pleasing to you than fine food.
I don't think it is.
No, probably.
No,
not.
definitely
It depends on how fine the food is. Like-
Gordon Ramsay.
Just fine.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's just fine. Yeah, then it might be better than fine food, but it's not better than fine food.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Next part. Right and wrong calendrical practice, an assertion of the truth of Enoch's account. Blessed are all the righteous, all the blessed. Some manuscripts omit all or part of all the blessed. Who will walk in the way of righteousness and have no sin, like the sinners, in numbering all the days the sun travels in the sky through the gates.
So in these verses, the text returns to astronomical material of a sort familiar from earlier parts of the Book of the Luminaries. The section begins with a beatitude for the righteous, but here the righteous are defined not as the direct descendants of Enoch, to whom his wisdom is transmitted in 82, 1 through 3, which we just read, but as the ones who correctly number the days in a solar year.
Well, I mean, given that the previous verses were like directly saying that this is information that is being given exclusively to the offspring of Enoch,
Yeah, exactly.
then it is for Enoch's descendants. I mean, granted that after the flood, all of the people are.
Well, I mean, keep reading.
Okay. Well, the way of righteousness and have no sin, like and travel through the sky, and the gates, entering and emerging for 30 days with the heads of thousands of the order of the stars, with the 4 additional ones that divide between the 4 parts of the year that lead them and enter with the 4 days. People err regarding them and do not calculate them in the numbering of the entire year, because they err regarding them and people do not understand them precisely. For they belong... For they belong in the reckoning of the year and are indeed recorded forever. 1 in the first gate, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth, and 1 in the sixth. Thus, a year of 364 days is completed. the account about it is true, and its calculation is precisely recorded, because the luminaries and the months, the festivals, the years, and the days he showed me, and Uriel, to whom the Lord of the entire creation gave orders for me regarding the host of heaven, breathed on me. He has power in heaven over night and day to make light appear over humanity, the sun, the moon, the stars, and all the heavenly powers which revolve in their circuits. Then it goes into the next part of the chapter. The law of the stars, their leaders, and the four seasons. There's a footnote. It's just Qumran stuff. It doesn't look that different. This is the law of the stars, which set in their places at their times, at their set times, and in their months. These are the names of those who lead them, who keep watch, so they enter at their times, who lead them in their places, in their orders, in their times, in their months, in their jurisdictions, and in their positions. There are four leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year enter first, and after them come the 12 leaders of the orders who divide the months, and some manuscripts add and the years into 364 days, with the 360 heads of thousands who separate the days, and the 4 additional ones with them are the leaders who separate the 4 parts of the years. Some manuscripts read it's 4 parts. So these are like the special angels from those special days that were brought up last week.
It's like that.
Yeah. As for these heads of thousands between leader and leader, some manuscripts read leader and the one led. One is added behind the position, and their leaders make a division. These are the names of the leaders who separate the 4 fixed parts of the year. Milkael, Helamemelech.
All right, let's talk about some of these. So
Wait, hold on.
okay.
Milkael, Helamemelech. He has meme in his name. Melael and
I mean, do you want to talk about some of these names?
Neril. We can, but I was finishing a sentence.
Okay, fine.
So let's talk about these names.
Okay. So for Milkiel, the commentators recognize the name Milkiel behind the Ethiopic spelling here, and in verse 15. In verse 13, the manuscripts vary between forms that begin with Malk and ones that have an E or I vowel in the initial syllable. The name is attested in the Hebrew Bible for a son of Beriah in the line of Asher. That's Genesis 46:17, Numbers 26:45, where a gentilic form also appears. And then also in 1 Chronicles 7:31. The different vowels in the first syllable of the Ethiopic spellings, A or E or I, may reflect the varying ways in which such forms from the noun milk were transliterated into Greek. For example, Melchizedek. And of course, Molech and other stuff like that.
We should make a T-shirt.
Milk.
Helamemelech, but
wait, hold on.
Have different colors for the letters that spell out meme.
Hold on. How about Milkiel?
Ooh,
It's bad? Okay. I tried.
Anyway, the names of those whom they lead are Adnerael, Ayasusal, and El-Omel. These 3 follow the leaders of the orders, and one follows the 3 leaders of the orders who follow those leaders of the positions who separate the 4 parts of the year.
Okay, so we can talk about these. So the names from before, they weren't, they aren't attested names of angels.
Right, but these have L names.
Yeah, those also had L names.
Not
Some of most of them.
Helamemelech.
I know, not that one, but the other ones.
The other ones,
Yeah.
too. But these all have L names.
Yeah. So Adnariel, let's see, 2080, that's a manuscript, has Adnael, almost the same form as given in the first hand of T9. That's a different manuscript. Ulig thinks the first element of the name Der, in a tested name, thinks the first element of the name is Der in a tested name. If so, the consistent presence of the letter Nahas in the spellings of the best manuscripts is difficult to explain. For the next one, Yasusael, Dillman thought the name could be very close. Yavsuel, and then Elomeel. Hoffman wanted to derive it from Lim and El, referring to one whom God hid, one he protected. All these proposals are speculative and do little to assist in interpreting the text. And as all recognize, much could have happened in the history of copying the names.
Mm-hmm. All right. At the beginnings of the year, Melchiel, I'm assuming this is Milkiel, but it's spelled completely differently.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Rises first and rules the one called the Southern Sun. A transliteration of the word southern, Taimani, is used. Okay.
So here's something interesting, specifically about that. Specifically about the southern sun.
Yes.
In the adjective Tama'ani, in his name Southern Sun, Dillman recognized a transliteration of the word south. The word would have survived intact through Greek and Ethiopic translations. To arrive at this reading, he suggested that the conjunction joining southern and sun was a mistake. In support, he observed that it would be strange for the leader Milkiel also to be called sun, and he pointed to verse 18 where Helamemelech receives as a name the word sun modified by an adjective. Although the conjunction is read by all of the best manuscripts, his explanation has been accepted. A problem noted by Charles is that Dillman's proposal, Semes Tamini, is Hebrew, not Aramaic. And Aramaic is now known to be the original language of Enoch's astronomical composition. This need not mean that the explanation is false. The word is used in Syriac, so it is attested in Aramaic. Nevertheless, if this is the correct explanation, one wonders why the luminary in charge of the spring would be called Southern Sun when the sun itself, during these 3 months, is moving northward from a midway point on its annual journey. Albany has looked for a solution in the cuneiform evidence. Saturn, Ninib, is the representative of the summer and has the name South Sun. He does note the difficulty that Milkiel as the first would mark the spring, not the summer, but thinks the assignment of the 4 leaders to particular seasons is uncertain in chapter 82, so that this is not a definitive objection. Yet, in verse 13, the orders of the 4 leaders of seasons is fixed, so that there is no uncertainty that Milkiel is the first and should, as a result, be associated with the first season in Enochic astronomy.
Yes. And all the days that fall within the period that he rules are 91 days. These are the signs of the days that are to be seen on the earth during the days of his rule: sweat, heat, and care. One manuscript reads calm. All the trees bear fruit, and leaves come out on all the trees. There is a harvest of wheat, roses, and all the flowers that blossom in the field. But the winter trees are dried up. These are the names of the leaders who are beneath them: Berkael, Zelabesel, And another head of 1,000 who is added has the name Hilu Yasef. His days of rule are completed. A second leader after him, some manuscripts read them, is Helamemelech, who is named the bright sun.
Yeah, see?
Yes.
What we were just talking about.
Yes.
What?
All the days of his light are 91 days. These are the signs of the days, some manuscripts read the days of his sign, on the earth. Heat, drought, trees bearing their fruit ripe and yielding all their fruit ripe and ready. The sheep mate and become pregnant. People gather all the fruit of the earth and everything in the fields and the winepress. It happens during the days of his rule. These are the names, the orders, and the leaders, some manuscripts add who are under them, of those heads of thousands, Gidael, Ke'el, and He'el. Some manuscripts omit He'el. The name of one who is added to them as a head of thousands is Aspha'el, and the days of his rule are completed. Now, although the section beginning at 82:15 should contain descriptions of each of the 4 parts of the year, one for each of the 4 leaders mentioned in 82:13, the text includes only the first 2 and then abruptly breaks off. It's possible that 4Q211, fragment 1 through 3, preserves part of the lost ending of the book. This is the text that as it has survived. So fragments, dew and rain they make fall on the earth and seed. Fragment, plants of the earth and trees, and it emerges and enters blank, and it becomes winter, and the leaves of the trees, 14 trees for which it is not fitting, blank, remain, blank. This is the second one from fragment 1.
Yeah.
Blank. This from its measure.
Yeah, it's always really weird to read these fragmentary texts.
Yeah. This from its measure, blank, 10th of 1/9, blank, 1/9, and stars went out through the first blank of the sky. Then they went out.
This sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. On the first day, 1/10 by 1/6, and the second day, 1 of 15 by 1/6, and the third day, 1 of 30 by 1/6, blank,
And
blank.
there's a good amount of there's a break.
And then there's more numbers in blanks.
Yeah.
So this is possibly the ending of the book of the Luminaries.
I hope you
Yeah,
enjoyed
yeah,
that ad
astronomical
lib.
book.
Feel free and put whatever you want.
Yeah, put whatever you want in there.
Yeah, blank. And that
Is blank.
it is the end of the book of the Luminaries.
Yes,
the
it is.
astronomical book.
What did you think of the astronomical book?
The astronomical book is insane.
Yeah, not only is its astronomy just wrong,
But you could build like some neat models.
yeah, you could do that. You
graphs
could have
on
fun.
The astronomical book's contents.
Yeah.
I don't see what that
Like all the gates.
Ethiopian king was talking about.
Yeah.
though. Like you.
Oh,
can,
by the way, on that Ethiopian king, we talked about him last week. King Zara Yacob, he was like fighting for the Book of Enoch being, included in the canon, and that's why it is in the Ethiopic canon.
Yeah.
And he was so into it because he thought it was like impossible for people to even do things or have like a regular calendar, like a working calendar without it. I was reading through one of the volumes of Christ and Christian tradition, and since they talk about the Ethiopic church, there's a good amount of stuff in there about Zara Yacob.
Yeah.
So I think I might just. I mean, I probably don't have enough.
We can
stuff on it
find
yet, but
more
we can find
stuff.
more. Yeah, because apparently, we have this commentary that has some stuff. We have that Christ and Christian tradition.
Mhm.
That has some stuff. And apparently, one of the sources on Wikipedia, I already have that book too, The Realm of Prester John. So I've had that for a while. I wanted to do a video on Prester John. That's probably going to take a bit. Anyways, that is the end of the show for today, and that is the end of the astronomical book.
Yes. Well, next time we're going into the dream visions.
Yes, the dream visions.
And we're currently a little over 2/3 of the way through the book of Enoch. Now, have you set up polls for what we're going into next?
Yes. And it's going to be 1st and 2nd Maccabees.
Okay. So it already voted.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
if you guys haven't voted, it's on our community tab, so go vote because democracy.
yeah. So Maccabees is going to be a fun book.
Yeah, it's also very important in Jewish history, so we're gonna go over that. Yeah.
Yes, of course. And when are we going over the Zohar?
Hopefully never.
You got to be 40 years old.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Wow.
Otherwise,
That
you
is
can't
discriminatory.
possibly understand the content of the Zohar.
That is discriminatory.
Or some
Ages.
traditions say 60.
Wow.
Some traditions say you have to have been studying the Torah for 40 years before you will even
okay.
understand the basics.
Wow. Okay. That's hilarious. I don't think that's how studying things works.
Apparently.
You didn't study hard
Dude,
enough.
school
You'd
is
know.
all wrong. It's not for 40 years.
No, there's some crazy Kabbalah shit out there.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Like, they have ciphers. Apparently, they do textual analysis of the Torah and come to, like, ridiculous conclusions. Like,
Yeah.
It's pretty in-depth. It's pretty in-depth.
Yeah, but
You
they
get
really
secret
stretch
ways
it out.
to read the language.
Yeah.
Like the gematria.
yeah, all that
That's
stuff.
true for Yu-Gi-Oh as well with Cypher, the Sky Dragon.
Wow, that was bad.
You're welcome.
Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed our
Yes,
show today.
I also hope that. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't.
And we will see
See you on Sunday.